Well, the BC government is considering major changes to its climate change law as a result of a review released today. For more, let's bring in Rob Shaw at the BC Legislature. Rob, this review was all part of the BC Green Party's deal with the BC NDP. So what did it uncover?
Well, April, you remember CleanBC has been a marquee part of the NDP government since John Horgan brought it in 2018. Lots of bragging about being a world leader in climate policy, but 7 years later, it has not come close to hitting its pollution reduction targets. The government has also suspended its EV mandates, rolled back the carbon tax, lots of things in flux. The Greens wanted this review into CleanBC as part of their demands to support the NDP government. The report today basically concludes some parts of CleanBC need to be enhanced. There needs to be an emphasis on electricity production. More can be done to help increase public buy-in on climate change policies. It says BC's overall goal of combating climate change can still be achieved even if it's not on track to hit its targets set into law. Here are those targets. Just a reminder here, reducing GHG pollution from 2007 levels by 16% this year and up to 80% in 2050. What's our current stat? We are at 0%. We haven't reduced below 2007 levels at all in 7 years. Part of the concern around the CleanBC policies. The review authors recommend putting in more achievable targets, saying GHG emissions, people don't understand those, it's too hard for them. So why don't we measure things like heat pump adoption and the number of EVs and jobs created in climate technology. It also urges the NDP to keep its EV mandate. Ottawa and BC have suspended that due to slumping demand. It suggests cutting in half BC's EV targets to only 50 to 60% of new sales by 2030. And instead of a full ban on new gas vehicles by 2035, just 90%. The authors also wrestle with the NDP encouraging new LNG facilities. They're heavy polluters. They will need to be electrified, and even then they could wipe out gains made in other sectors. There are more recommendations in this report, things like step code requirements and natural gas restrictions, amongst other things. Here's some reaction today.
We do need to do more than what we're currently on track to do, but we need to build momentum for that, as opposed to having a system where it's the beatings will continue until morale improves. If the message is constantly that we're not doing enough, that we're failing, that just deflates everybody.
I agree with the reviewers in the extent that I think that we need to make this more about action and that every GHG removed is a positive step.
We're disappointed that they didn't make a stronger case against LNG and investing in LNG, because we don't see that as being future-proof. However, they did make some pretty strong statements about how hard it's going to be to make our emissions targets, and so I think we build on that. We keep pushing forward.
Another issue at the legislature today, driven by the BC Greens, an all-party committee on electoral reform came back, April, you won't believe this, with another citizens' assembly on electoral reform. If the government goes this route, it would be the fourth attempt to change BC's electoral system. There have been 3 referenda. They have all failed. This report just landed today. We'll wait to see what government does and whether the Premier calls the second citizens' assembly in the history of BC to talk about electoral reform. That'll be very exciting.